It's time to throw away your dictionaries. There are much smarter ways to learn vocabulary nowadays, and I'm going to share 5 of them in this video. Of course, you don't literally have to throw away your dictionary. They can still be quite useful. Anyway, this isn't even a dictionary, it's a grammar book. I really did throw away my last dictionary when we moved house last time. We have everything on our smartphones now, so we don't really need a physical dictionary. Anyway, thank you for joining me again, and welcome to any new viewers. This is To The Point English with Ben. I'm Ben, and yes, we're going to look at smart ways of learning vocabulary today in this video. But first, I want to talk about the worst way of learning new words and phrases. Now, of course, the worst way is just to not do anything, just not make any kind of effort at all. But the second worst way, I would say, is just getting a direct translation into your own language. So maybe using a bilingual dictionary or just Google Translate. That's the easiest way, but it's definitely not the most effective way. By just translating the word directly into your own language, you're not getting the context, you're not getting the information about the different meanings and uses and the register. And really, it's just too easy. You know, if something is too easy, you're not going to remember it. You need to make an effort. You need the context. And you need an explanation, not just a translation. So, with all that in mind, here are 5 smart ways to learn new vocabulary. Now, I'm starting with quite a predictable one, but it has to be said, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to use it effectively, but it's Chat GPT, or AI in general. Now, you've probably seen lots of videos about Chat GPT already, and I expect and I hope that you're using it already, whether it's to learn new vocabulary or for help in other areas. Now, Chat GPT is not perfect. You must be aware of that, and in a moment I'm going to share an example of quite a big mistake that it made while I was using it a few days ago. But it is extremely useful. First of all, it gives really good detailed definitions, more detailed than most dictionaries. But also you can ask for examples, and if you're not happy with the examples, you can specify the type of examples you want, or you can just ask for more and more examples to really get a good idea of the context. But you can also ask it extra questions like, is this word formal? Can I use this word in my essays, for example? If you're preparing for a Cambridge English exam, that will be very useful, and it does give pretty good answers. So it's a fantastic resource, and I recommend you use it when you want to get the meaning of a word and examples, or even if you just want to confirm or clarify what you think the meaning of the word is. But as I said, be careful. The other day I was asking ChatGPT to help me with a video I'm planning to make on suffixes, and I asked it to list some words that end in the EE suffix. And it came up with this answer. So guarantee, 3 E's, we never see that in English. That word doesn't exist. So I questioned ChatGPT on that, and this is the answer it gave me. So as you can see, guarantee really doesn't exist. It's guarantor. So you have to be careful with ChatGPT. But one of the advantages is that you can ask it to check and confirm whether it's made a mistake or not. I'm sure it will get better as time passes, but always be careful. Okay, the second smart way of learning new vocabulary I have for you today is to use Google search, but specifically the news option. So let me show you how you can use this. So just type the word you want to learn into the search engine, as always. In this example, I'm using hitherto. This is from a recent video of mine. Then you'll usually get the word with a definition, which you can look at. That can be useful. But as I said, you need to do more if you really want to learn and get a deep understanding of how we use the word. So if you look at the news tab, click on that, and then you'll get all the recent news headlines which contain the word hitherto in this case. So you can see the word in context, and even better, all these articles, of course, are up to date. So you're getting the latest news and the latest uses of this word. And this is particularly useful because, you know, the vocabulary we need changes as the news changes, you know, as current affairs change. During a financial crisis, for example, we tend to start to need and to use financial vocabulary. During the pandemic, of course, we started to learn and use new words like lockdown or vaccine, teleworking, and all that kind of vocabulary. So this is a really nice way to get the vocabulary in context and with real up-to-date news articles. Okay, the next smart way to learn new vocabulary is by using X. What's X? You know what X is by now, right? It's the new name for Twitter, and you're all familiar with Twitter, whether you like it or hate it. Now, be careful with Twitter because it can get pretty nasty, and I don't recommend you spend too much time on it, but it can be really useful for learning new vocabulary in a similar way to Google News search can be too. But I would say that Twitter is useful for more colloquial vocabulary, more slang. So we start here with an example using a more formal word that we saw before with Chat GPT, so albeit. So you type the word into the search, then you read through all the variety of results, and you get a really good idea of how we use it in context. And the difference between Google News and X or Twitter is that the people who post comments are just normal people. They're not using any particular formal vocabulary. This is just day-to-day vocabulary. And that's why it's really good for learning informal and slang words. So for example, looking at cringe, which has a variety of meanings depending on the context, but it's used a lot by young people in colloquial contexts nowadays. Really useful to get an idea of the real meanings and uses of the words in context. Okay, the next one is a bit of fun really, but it's important to have fun when you're learning. I think it helps you to remember if you're enjoying the process, and it's to use Spotify. So if you have Spotify, you may have noticed that many of the songs now have the lyrics included, so you can read the lyrics while you're listening to the song. Now, of course, you can find lyrics on other websites. There are many ways to get the lyrics to songs, but this is particularly nice because you can follow the song on the same device while you're reading the lyrics. So perhaps there's a song on the radio that you really like and you don't quite understand all the lyrics, so just find it on Spotify and follow the lyrics while it's playing. Or maybe there's a really old song like this one by Toto, Africa, a classic that maybe you've been listening to for years but you've never really understood the lyrics. As I said, a nice fun way to learn vocabulary. But be careful because sometimes the pronunciation in songs is not exactly how we would pronounce it in real life conversation. I always give the example of a Chris de Burgh song, a very famous song called The Lady in Red, in which he tries to rhyme dance with romance. Those two words don't rhyme, so he changed romance to romance. So dance and romance. That's not how we pronounce romance. And the final smart way of learning new vocabulary I'm sharing with you today is practice inferring first. Now, when I say first, I mean before you choose any of the other options that I've already recommended today, because it's important that you make the effort yourself, that you try to infer, so get an idea or guess the meaning of the word from the context that you're reading it in, or perhaps the context that you've heard it. So think about the vocabulary surrounding the word, the general context of the text, and get an idea of whether it's positive or whether it's negative. Just make the effort yourself first. You're not going to get the dictionary definition, you're not going to get the precise meaning and uses of the word just by inferring it, but you'll get an idea. And that will help you to remember it in the long term because you've made that effort. So before you grab your phone to check the meaning or go to Chat GPT or Google News or Twitter, just try to make the effort and infer the meaning yourself. Okay, I hope you found that useful. If you have any other tips, any other smart ways of learning new vocabulary, please share them in the comments. That will be really useful. And if you liked this video and found it useful, then hit the like button because it really helps me. The algorithm loves it. Okay, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you very soon for another video.